Good morning, everyone. You guys can hear me clearly? Right? Okay, thank you everyone for joining today, and thank you to our panelists here today to join in this discussion here. As introduced, my name is Kenneth, actually Asia Sales Director from Okta. I have my distinguished colleague here, Ratih, and our panelists here as part of today's discussion, right? So our topic today is going to be actually about identity and access management, enabling and controlling user access, which is critical information for any organization. Now, let me just take a step back to understand, right? Does anybody understand the fact what is actually identity and access management, right? It's basically an ethics to use as a discipline, right? For the right individuals to access the right application at the right time, right? That is what we call identity access management. Now, as we've gone through 2 years back, with the pandemic and so on and so forth, we have to have enabled workplace from home, some had to work remotely, right? How are we going to access these applications globally, right? You're not able to go to office and access your application. You need to enable, VPNs and so on and so forth, right? And then you hear a couple of buzzwords down the road. You hear about zero trust. You hear about customer identity, right? So these are part of the topic of our discussion here today, okay? So before I go further, I would like to call upon Ratih, right? So Ratih, why is zero trust now, and what is the goal of achieve zero trust?
Yeah, thank you, Kenneth. I think it's important to know that why are we talking about zero trust now? Because zero trust itself has been around for more than a decade, but adoption itself probably started like a couple years back, right? So if we think about it, based on our Okta 2021 State of Zero Trust Security Report, we found out that actually in APAC itself, the adoption is already increased from 30% to 50% now. And if we think about it, back then the traditional way of implementing security is more on the perimeter. So the network, data center, corporate network, where if you are inside that network, you are considered trusted and you have the access to all the servers within the network, the data and resources, right? So this is less relevant nowadays because of the way we are working, where we are working from home, where we are working more collaboratively with the partners and contractors. So it's no longer enough to consider network as the boundaries, right? So there has been a lot of breaches where the attackers get inside the network and continues to attack traversely, and the impact of that attack becomes bigger of that. So zero trust, the goal of that is actually to have the access to the data and resources to only the account that is not compromised, only the device that is not compromised. So the tenet is never trust, always verify, which is effective to counteract the attack where network is the boundaries. So you always think of the identity as the focal point where you need to verify all the accounts, you need to verify all the access, and you need to give only least privileged access to the data and resources that you have, as well as always assume breach. So you always audit and monitor the data. So it's very important now, and that's the goal.
Okay, thank you so much, Ratih. See, it's very key focal you mentioned, right? Identity has always been a solution that, that was been part of a larger step. You see, now the world is changing. The world has completely changed. Where identity now it has to be an independent and fully neutral platform, not dependent on any other stacks out there, right? So my next question is to Obrina. What are the risk factors of potential breach we see right now in this region, especially in Malaysia? Yeah, in here, please.
Thank you, Kenneth, for the question. So, if you look at Indonesia, especially in our region, is ASEAN, the Southeast Asian nation, we have a big market. We have a big market. We have a great potential digital economy, like earlier the colleagues from the Home Affairs Department, also Dr. Pratama has already mentioned. There's a lot of interest here in the region, in the Asian region, especially for the digital economy potential. But as we understood, especially in Indonesia, in context of Indonesia, when we talk about, or in context of policy, we are still lack of or less policy. So this is one of the main problems if we talk about data breach or identity theft. This is the first problem. The first problem is the lack of policy. Policy regulating the data privacy or how illegal access, electronic access is being upheld. As you know, we have ITE law that protect illegal access to electronic system, but the upholding of the law enforcement of it is still lack. Because as we know, there's a lot of technology today in the internet that allows a person to be anonymous, right? And it's very hard to track down right to the single person. You can get the IP address or maybe the ID number, but to track down until the person who committed the crime is very difficult. So this is one of them. Lack of policy is the first problem. The another problem, if you combine with the risk factor, is many of our industries or organizations or companies still perceive or see cyber risk as an IT risk. So this is commonly changing in other countries, other advanced countries like in the Europe or in the America. They see the cybersecurity as a business threat. Yeah. So this is make the solution a whole other game. So this makes the company or the organization put their efforts, their own efforts, their business efforts to the cybersecurity efforts. So in Indonesia, we see a lot of our friends, especially in various sectors. I see some sectors are more involved than others. So this is also the challenge in Indonesia. Because not all the sectors perceive this as a business threat. They only see it as an IT risk, and then they give it to the IT guys.
Yes.
So this is your problem, fix it. So this is not something the IT department can overcome by itself. So this is the second problem. And the third problem is, how do you put it? The second problem, when the risk factor is only for the IT department, so the investment in security is also low. This is one of the results of our survey or our questionnaire maybe 2 years ago, that many of our companies and also our government is under investment in security. And they also perceive it as a product, not a process. There's many perception or mindset that needs to be changed. So this is a risk factor. Maybe that's it for your question.
Yeah. So it's very interesting to see. I also like to add one more thing, right? One of the challenges we see as a risk that any organization, don't get me wrong, I always think is internal employees, right? When they leave the organization later, after a year, I've seen it personally that they still have access to the application, and that's a breach as well, right? And we don't implement the zero trust in play, right? They can just access this application there, right? So you're still trusting this user when the user has left the organization, right? So that's a major risk on this. Thanks a lot, Purnama, right? And my next question probably to Hans and also Purnama, right? Probably I'll start off with you, Hans, right? What are some of the challenges in the roadmap that you see towards zero trust? Not sure whether it is mic, but
thanks, Kenneth. Hi everyone. Have a blessed day.
yeah.
Our challenge is in our large enterprise organization is we have running business from many business applications and systems. Also, network devices, information system security devices. So the most important thing is how to make sure to ensure grant the right access for the right user. Maybe we have more than 100 business applications and more than thousands system and network running in our organization across the organization and distributed in one nation or maybe the multi-nation. We know the security is responsible by everyone, not only IT, but everyone is responsible. We grant access to all users. Every user have access to our business application. We have access to our system and network. How do we make sure we can protect our resource and data? Identity access management is a framework of policy and technology to implement the unified identity management, to apply the centralized identity management in one system. So imagine if we have many applications, maybe more than 100 or more than 1,000 network and systems and distributed across the organizations. So we have to reduce the time and effort to manage identity and access across our organization. So we need the IAM, identity and access management, to increase the productivity of our employee.
Absolutely right.
Yeah.
Productivity is very key factor nowadays. You need to make sure that the employees are productivity driven in a way, right? Not spending minutes and days putting passwords and stuff. Right? Now the new buzzword people always say is passwordless, right?
Yeah, that's
using biometric scan, fingerprint scan, right? Whether you're using external tokens or whether you include factor sequencing, right? And Purnama, what is your thought on this?
Okay, thank you, Kenneth. Hi, everyone. Zero Trust is a proactive security approach, right? To identify what is your user, what is your device, what is your policy, what is the service that you want to access, and those kind of things that need to have defense in that mechanism, right? So not only one mechanism of access or one mechanism of security, we need to have a multiple one, okay? Now, here in my organization, in Bank Mandiri, we have a very complex system and very complex applications. We have a new right now we're running a hybrid one, to say that we implement all of the new fancy things and also the legacy systems. If you're asking me about the roadmap, well, one of the pain is the legacy one, I believe, right? Okay. The easiest one is to what we implement right now is our mobile banking applications, which is living is very stable systems and already implement those kind of zero trust environment. The one thing that zero trust is very it's not easy to implement, but it's not impossible. It's very, very possible to implement. Although you have the legacy systems, it's very possible. One of the approaches that we use is we are using the SSO1. Okay, single sign-on is one of the technologies to apply the zero trust. Like we are using the 2FA or the MFA. Like Kenneth said, the biometric, and also what Ratih said about zero trust is never trust and always verify. Right? Now, those kind of a policy that we implement. The roadmap is not easy for the legacy, but right now we're pushing those goals to have the zero trust. So I believe that is the thing that we implement right now in the bank. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Purnama. Thank you so much for your thoughts there. So, Ratih, I have a very interesting question for you. Right? What would be the best strategy to ensure centralized directory service that organization has? Right? What would be the method for company to start using the journey of zero trust? How would the journey start with zero trust? And from your experience, how would you start?
Yeah, thank you for this question again. Picking up from what Pak Hans and Pak Purnama mentioned, of course at Okta we recognize that every company has their different kind of journey, different kind of roadmap. So traditionally you have a very fragmented identity where you don't have any visibility on what employees accessing and what they can what they're doing with their account, for example. And the first step towards the zero trust, obviously, to have connecting this directory, the employee directory, with the applications, right? So we should have the visibility of what they're accessing, when they're accessing, from where. And the next step is also to add MFA so that we prevent or protect identity theft. So the next step is what we call more of the emerging phase of this zero trust is to add SSO, like Purnama mentioned, right? So single sign-on is important because for employee, they have more frictionless experience as well as adding security, and you do automation of the provisioning of the account because this is where a lot of manual error of assigning application and access level happens, right? So you rely on identity solutions to do this rather than your IT employee to do this for you. And then the next step, where you are a bit more mature, you also manage the external users. For example, your partner, your collaborator, where you also do MFA and SSO for them. And then when you are already in the elevated phase, which is where you start to think about integrating these solutions with SIEM, which is the security monitoring. So you have more control and dynamically improve your protection against keep the changing of the environment, right? So this is the steps that you have to do. And I agree that this is always a journey, always a roadmap, that there's no one solutions to clearly implement all this requested architecture, but you need to start from somewhere, right? You need to start with implementing all this in place.
Zero trust, yes, sure, right? You will continue evolving. Even though we put the zero trust in place, there will be new threats are coming. We just have to improvise, enhance the security features within the zero trust. So, Obrina, I have one more question for you guys. What is the strategy of retiring manual legacy identity infrastructure and moving towards automating and modernizing the IT skill to make it more effective, right, and efficient?
Yeah, it's very interesting. This is also a challenge and problem that we are also facing. A lot of our friends in many sectors are really involved in this. So what I think is, if we like we treat any other migration, any other changes that happen in our organization. Many of international standards of work have a single thread of similarity. If you see like OBIT or ISO, they use PDCA, planning, doing, checking, and acting. So this is a very good best practice, I think, for every changes that is happening in our organization. Like you see in business continuity management, we have the business impact analysis also adopting from PDCA. So what I want to imply is, to state is that first we have to know our assets. Right? We have to do the discovery of our assets. We have to know what is the skill that we have. What is our goal, like our treasure. We risk that, then we plan the migration.
Yeah.
So that our critical data, the critical services is safe. And then after planning, then we do the migration based on the planning, and then we evaluate. I think so. This is the life cycle of PDCA: planning, doing, checking, and action. So when we do, we evaluate our result, and then we can repair if there's any error or any broken services or not. I think this is applicable to moving or migrate from the legacy system to the new and improved, modernized, and automated solution.
Okay. That's very, very insightful mention for that. Migration, secure, hybrid access, and all the settings are really key factors. Okay. I have two more things I need to ask for Zero Trust, right? And probably this will fall under much more. What are things to pay attention to be aware of when you implement Zero Trust? What are things you need to pay attention to Zero Trust?
Yeah, so this is again a very loaded question because we all know that Zero Trust is a journey and it's not actually a solution. It's more like a security concept or model, right? Where we have to follow the tenets. So if I refer back to the tenets of Zero Trust, which is never trust, always verify, least privilege access, and to always assume breach. Again, based on with our work with our customer, we found that identity is really the focus of this whole model or tenets, right? Because those are the things that is becoming the perimeter now, the boundaries, where you don't have networks anymore to protect yourself. Identity becomes the new boundaries and perimeters, right? So the thing that you need to really pay attention when you start implementing Zero Trust is to make sure that you manage the identity properly, that you always assign access properly. And again, when I mentioned about the net level of the maturity, in the evolved level where you have more cloud applications, where you have more SaaS, where the identity is more fragmented, you really need to focus on unifying the identity so you have more clear visibility and you have a clear understanding of the access level of each of the employees and external users to your own data and resources, right? So that's the most important thing. And also, I think one more thing that sometimes people are forget is about the balance of security and user experience, right? Because we really want to focus on security. We really want to focus on, of course, securing our data and resources. But all of this is useless if our employee can't even access or work, right? They're not working efficiently because we are very tight on security and limiting everything, making their life difficult, right? It's the same with the customer identity, same with employee identity. Everything has to be in a balance between the user experience and the security level.
So basically, people process technology.
Correct. You are too strict in security that no one can access anything, that no one can work.
Security is only the strongest in its weakest.
Yes, right. Okay. Right. It's very interesting you mentioned about customer identity, right? Let's shift gears a bit, right? You know the world has changed nowadays. Everything, we talk about 10 years back, or maybe 15 years back, right? How much mobile devices we have, the smartphones we have now. Everything is all digital, right? You don't even use, people always say, I don't even open my laptop to look at a website anymore. I use the app to do it. There are some banks are even implementing that. If a high-level transaction, use the app rather than using a website, right? This is where customer identity has made a vast difference, right? Ask yourself in the morning, right? When you wake up in the morning, the first thing you do, you open up your phone. You will click one or two apps there, right? You want to check whether your stock exchange or whether your Facebook is one for one, right? It makes us so dependent on apps that websites will be viable down the road. Right? So, my question to Ratih, right? How does customer identity different from IAM? That's what it says.
Yeah, thank you, Kenneth. So I think customer identity is important because you're not only storing and processing customer data, for security reason, but you're also using it for your business, right? You are making a personalized experience for them. You're processing depending on what their activity. You also can use them for your third-party services. Of course, if you have consent from the user to use this data, right? So it becomes important to have the right solutions, because not only now you are relying on the security, but also you are relying on improving the business and user experience, right? If you think about it, what you said is correct, right? I'm not gonna try to have different types of accounts and remember all different kind of password and have different kind of apps where I don't even able to access anymore because I don't remember what my password is, right? So I think the important thing is, if identity is not the main focus of your business, you really need to think about how you want to manage your customer identity, because different kind of experience and different kind of when you do the sign up, for example, you need to make sure it's a smooth and pleasant and frictionless user experience. So the application, user adoption of your application is still within profitable business that you are doing.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. And that brings me to Purnama, right? For Purnama, a question, right? How can we balance zero trust with customer experience or frictionless, right?
Okay, thank you, Kenneth. Frictionless or customer experience is very critical consideration to security, right? We believe that right now, if we want to implement a very good systems, we need to have a very fast and quick access to the systems itself. Not only for internal like IAM, local applications, but also for the CM and customer identity. So, for example, for me, right now, I haven't used my password anymore. I only use my biometric. Just like I mentioned earlier. Most of the applications right now using the SSO, single sign-on, and using the MFA, multi-factor application. So for the systems itself, make sure to have the comfortability for the users. In our organization itself, it's very, very important to have this SSO thing. So we have a lot of applications. I believe everyone in here in the organization have a lot of applications and systems, not only system but also the devices and services and so on. So to access those and to have a zero trust environment, we need to have one thing is the SSO, right? Now using the 2FA, using the MFA to make what? To make the customer easy, to make the customer feel that when they're accessing the system is very fast and also secure for us. So to have the friction, it will have at the beginning, there will always have frictions right there. The customer is very unhappy, is very uncomfortable with the changes. But along the way, if we can make the system more faster, say that one of the implementation is SSO, it will help the customer to access the system much better, much faster, and also make the productivity and make business for the organization itself much better. The implementation itself, when we go to when Ken previously said about identifications. So identification is very important to make sure that we cover all of the users, we cover all of the services, the systems, the devices. Like Hans said about the organizations, we want to make sure that the network devices and all of the systems are covered. Those things that need to be identified first, so that we will not have, I believe we will have less frictionless, less friction.
One of the things is less frictionless, and also another key factor is omni-channel, right?
Yes.
when you open up a user interface of your app, you need to be also, you want to open up, you're happy to open it up. Right? You have the ease feeling of, you don't have to log in 101 times, right, into your application. That is one of the key factors, to have a frictionless. Now, one of the biggest challenge that customer identity is bringing to any organization is having a platform, right? A platform that can integrate with multiple SDKs, whether you need to integrate it with social networking, right? Whether if you're looking to integrate with WeChat, or whatever types of authentication method. That is the biggest challenge that customer identity face in today's world. Now technologies have evolved. There's so many solutions out there that you can have one platform for everything, right? And makes companies easy, right? And one of the other challenges is developer costs, right? You're going to spend money on certifying developers, right? Getting them certified on a quarterly basis. And the third one is actually data protection. Because the biggest valuable asset for any organization is your customer data, right? You need to make sure that customer data is well protected, right? We're talking about PCI DSS, GDPR, whether for health, it's called HIPAA. We'll make sure that these solutions have all these credentials in place, right? So, that is the whole context that we're talking about. Zero trust, customer identity. So, to conclude my session today, the couple of keywords I mentioned earlier, right? Zero trust. Do not trust anything. Do not trust every application you have. It needs to be mutual trust in place. Number two, we're talking about customer identity, frictionless, omni-channel type of solutions. Right? Before I conclude the session, do you have anything you want to add?
May I add something?
Yeah.
I think we can all agree that authentication, authorization is very important. Nowadays, implemented in zero trust ecosystem. One of the aftermath or post authorization and authorization is the analytics, the data analytics. It is very important to how the service providers can detect anomaly or changes as soon as possible to give us some kind of risk awareness and also to implement response as soon as possible. So in banking, like Mr. Purnama, the highly regulated sector, they have like KYC. KYC. Know your customer. So this is one of the implementation of data analytics, how we can monitor the activity in our users. So I think this is something that we have to add to our solutions.
Agree so much. You have to have all these multiple threats and also analytics in place to make sure that where these threats are coming from. And then sometimes these threats are shareable, right? Where the fact that are really threats or not, right? Okay, Purnama, do you have anything, any last words you want to add?
I think one thing, I love the phrase what you said, never trust, but always verify. In zero trust, we have to apply that, and in order to apply that, we have to start right now. That's it. Thank you.
Hans, do you have anything you want to add?
Maybe about the user access matrix, the user profile, where our internal users is onboarding after the employee resign. So when access will be fed to all the access have the user profile access based on the role, and after that when the user resign, so we will reform all the access. This is why we need the access management.
Okay.
Also about the single sign-on to apps and manage the security for applications, and also the data. Whether our customers, external users, customer or partner also, So it's impossible we can manage the identity and access across our organization without the tools like IAM. And formatting the rise of the rise of the ransomware, rise of IoT, multi-cloud, and also mobile apps and remote workforce. This is the trigger to the increase of the cyber attacks. So that's why with IAM, this can be approach the approach security for zero trust, including the secure adaptive access, unified identity management, and seamless user experience. Why seamless user experience? So we provide the fast and easy and fast sign-in to the users to access the apps and system. Yeah, but also there is a simplify identity governance. So with IAM, we can apply the identity management policy to our users. So there is a workflow like that, approval, and there is forensics, and others. Okay. This is for me. Thanks so much.
Ratih, you have anything to ask people to say?
Yeah, I think the most important message from me today is it's better now than never, and it's better to start now rather than later, right? Because everything changing, we do a lot of digital transformations, like Obrina mentioned, for example. Now we start to involve analytics. So this is the time to take action. It's no longer about the issue of the IT personnel, but it's also the issue of the business, right? You protect the data of your customer, you protect the security of your employee, because this is what's important in the current ever-changing way we are working nowadays.
Especially in Indonesia, we are very vulnerable. Because we are very vulnerable because you know that Indonesia is the last country in ASEAN that doesn't have data protection law. You get it?
Yeah.
So it's the last country is in Thailand, I think, or the Philippines, that implement or establish Indonesia is still not there.
Okay, great. Thank you, everyone, and thank you. Please round of applause to our distinguished panelists.
Okay.